The Batman just came out, so today I'm going to rank every Batman movie from worst to best. Tell me your ranking of the Batman films in the comments and let's begin. And in last place, with no question, is Batman and Robin. This movie is known as the film that killed the franchise. People hated this movie so much that nobody wanted another Batman film for 8 years. Whenever a big franchise has a bad movie, they call it the Batman and Robin of that franchise. When your film is so bad that people call other bad films the name of your movie, then you know you messed up. And it's not hard to see why.
Jesus. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Can you feel it coming? Can you feel it coming? The ice cold of space. It's well. Stay cool.
This is like if a 6-year-old was given $100 million to make a Batman movie. The only plotline in the film that works is where Alfred, their butler, is sick and dying. And unlike Batman, whose actor and personality has changed between movies, this guy's been in 4 live-action Batman movies. So when he looks like he'll die, you feel for him. But other than that small part of the movie, Batman and Robin is still the stupidest Batman film of all time. And not far behind is Batman Forever. Now there are a handful of reasons I think this movie is better than Batman and Robin. Unlike Batman and Robin, Batman Forever actually takes the character of Batman seriously. He's a guy who wants to help people and seems to care about Robin. But unlike the Tim Burton movies where he seemed more interested in the villains than Batman, here they seem more interested in making Bruce Wayne a good character. That being said, the film is still overly campy and silly. My main problem is the Riddler, who is supposed to be a creepy serial killer obsessed with riddles, played by Jim Carrey. And it's like they just gave Jim Carrey a bunch of Red Bulls, told him to do his thing, and it's just an evil Ace Ventura. He doesn't come across as a creepy psychopath, and Two-Face, the other villain of the movie, doesn't come across as a menacing, disfigured villain. He comes across as whatever the hell you call this. So even though there are a lot of things I like about it, it's still a pretty bad film. Next is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Once again, there's a film with pros and cons. Pro: Henry Cavall and Ben Aflack are really cool. Con: the villain acts like a college dropout. Pro: the action can be pretty badass. Con: the CGI can be pretty bad at times. Pro: they do a good job explaining how Batman won the fight. Con: it spends too much time setting up sequels. Pro: the music helps with every scene. Con: it can be pretty boring at times. All making for a pretty mediocre film with ups and downs. Next is a 1966 Batman film. I know it may seem weird putting this over Batman v Superman, but I always had a soft spot for this film. I watched the original Batman TV show when I grew up, and I always liked the style and feel of these films and TV shows, which gives you big set pieces and 1960 color palettes. And the film captures everything in the show that did so well. It's obviously not a perfect film, and a lot of things have obviously not dated well.
Handing out the shark repellent bat spray.
Shark repellent is still the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life, and I always get a laugh out of it. There's a lot of campy 1960 things in here like they did in the 1960s TV show, and I always liked all that. It was always funny, and it always put a smile on my face. So even though not a particularly good film, I still enjoyed it fine enough. Next is Batman Returns. For some reason, this movie always rubbed me the wrong way. In the first film, Tim Burton obviously liked the Joker as the character more than the Batman. The Joker to him was a more appealing character than Bruce Wayne, and that's why most of the screen time is on the Joker instead of Batman in the first movie. So obviously he liked the Joker more than he liked Batman in the first movie, so when they kill off Joker in the end of the first film, all you have left are parts Tim Burton is disinterested in. He obviously spent much more time on the Joker than he did on Batman, so there's a sense of disinterest from the director of the film. And when the director seems disinterested in the film, the viewer can be disinterested. This is a Batman film I watched the least times next to Batman and Robin. That being said, it's still a well-paced film, nicely looking movie, like all Tim Burton movies, so it's still high on the list. Next is The Dark Knight Rises. Even though it's the weakest film of the Dark Knight trilogy, it's still a greatly made film with only a few problems in it. It does the smart move of focusing mainly on Bruce Wayne as life retired from being a superhero. I think the Dark Knight trilogy has always done a good job with making Bruce Wayne an interesting character. And some of the best scenes in these movies is Bruce Wayne's journey. So having the focus be on Bruce Wayne as a character instead of Batman does make it a little bit better. That being said, there are problems. The fact that Christopher Nolan didn't even want to make a sequel to The Dark Knight, and he wanted the franchise to end with the second movie, definitely shows in this movie. He didn't even want to make this movie. It takes a really long time for Batman to show up, or there to even be an action scene with Batman. The whole plot can be really messy at times. You see, the film is about Bruce Wayne, who is injured and is trying to heal himself so he can be Batman one more time and fight for Gotham. Then he does become Batman and his back is broken. So get this, Batman is injured so he has to heal himself so he can be Batman one more time and fight for Gotham. Like they just did 30 minutes ago. They do the exact same thing 2 times in a row, so because of that, it's not higher on the list. Next is Batman Begins. It hurts for me not to put this in the top 3 because I do watch this film very often, and have fond memories watching it, but it does have its problems. The action is paralyzing. The way it's edited hurts your eyes so much that you're trying to find out what the hell is happening every second there's an action scene. I also thought the scenes of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman was better than when he actually did become Batman. But still, there are a lot of things to love. Hans Zimmer's score almost competes with Danny Elfman's score. Christian Bale is still my favorite Batman, and I think the villains are pretty good too. It has its problems, but it's still a classic film, and the good stuff greatly overshadows the bad. Next is Batman 89. There are many reasons I like this film, so let me list it down for you. Tim Burton makes Gotham feel like a different world you're being transported to. Danny Elfman's music makes this film feel grander in scale. I love that the Batman kills people in this film because it can lead to a lot of great action scenes. I love that they spent more time on the Joker than our main character because he's a truly more interesting character. This is Jack Nicholson's best performance. That kind of speaks for itself. This is one of the most visually appealing Batman films. The style and color palette is unique. And most of all, this is the Batman film I'm most familiar with. This was my first introduction to these characters and concepts. So because of that, I can't help but love this film altogether. Next is the Batman. The fact that they made this Batman more like a detective is a really smart move because it could lead to this interesting David Fincher-like story. Everything to the cast to the music was spot on. I personally like Colin Farrell's Penguin and Paul Dano's Riddler more than any other version of the characters we got. Colin Farrell can be intimidating, funny, while Paul Dano feels like a serial killer who can actually exist, without being too realistic. Ralph Fiennes and Robert Pattinson have good buddy cop banter. It's nice to see Batman work with the police to solve this mystery. And there are so many things that I have seen in other Batman movies done better in this movie, and many things I haven't seen but wanted to see in a Batman film. I'm not going to pretend this is the best comic book movie ever made, like most people are, but this feels like what I would envision for a Batman film. That being said, the best Batman film of all time is The Dark Knight. Not only is this one of the best movies of all time, but has set the standard for Batman movies higher than it's ever been before. But of course, what carries this film up to the sun is Heath Ledger as a Joker. He was the first actor I ever saw so committed to a role, and as a kid, the first time I ever told myself, this is a pretty good performance. And this is the best acting I ever saw in a movie. Hans Zimmer's music always shines, and Christian Bale is at his best here. The effects they use for this movie is always mind-blowing because they barely use any CGI. They really did flip a truck and cause all those explosions. So even though more of a crime thriller than the Batman film, this is the best movie of the franchise, and none of the other movies even come that close, so it's in number 1. And thank you for watching. Please tell me in the comments how you rank the Batman films. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and click the bell, and have a great day.